When you start a business, it's like hugging a little ball. As the business develops, as more people join you, it feels like more and more people are putting their hands on that ball, and the ball gets bigger. And you're still trying to hug it really tight, but it's kind of not your ball anymore. And at some point, usually relatively early on in the process, somebody knocks that ball out of your hands, and you spend the rest of your life as a founder of the business chasing your own ball down the road, trying to keep it on track, trying to make sure that everyone's happy, trying to make sure that everything goes right. Sometimes just give yourself permission not to chase the ball. Everyone else is chasing it. They're delighted, they're happy. It's on track.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of PushOn. This is an interview series where I speak with business owners, leaders in our local community, people around the country who I feel are helping to get our economy moving forward, working incredibly hard during challenging times. And that always raises the question of, well, how do you push on when things are so tough? And actually, Merlie Calvert, who is here with me today, she's the inspiration behind this series because quite some time ago in 2019, I felt I was up against it. And I sent her a message on LinkedIn. She didn't know me, I didn't know her, but she was the one that I wanted to message. And she came back with a message that is still pinned on my wall over there, and something that I refer to on a regular basis. And it gave me the inspiration to have more of these conversations. Because if that message could help me, how many more could it help? And I think now's the time to keep having these conversations on a regular basis because they do help. So, welcome, Merlie. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. That's probably the nicest introduction anyone has ever given, because I think this isn't really about me, it's about us, it's about community, it's about how we support each other. So I really love the fact that I help to inspire you. You are a person who has so many ideas and so much creativity, Kim, that I suspect I might have triggered a small amount of what was already there. But it's really lovely to be introduced in that way. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. So, you are the founder um, and the CEO of Farilio, and you're also an advisor at Antler. Um, can you please tell everybody a bit more about your business and all of the things that you're involved in so they have a better understanding of who you are and what is it that you do on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. Well, on a day-to-day basis, I call myself gopher because I do the bucket job of everything that nobody else does, right? That's what I think the founder and the CEO of a startup does. But I guess my background is I was a lawyer, and I worked in business as well for many, many years, too many years to mention. Um, Brelio is my third startup, but the first one that I fully independently owned, which is a whole other ball game. Um, and it wasn't the one I wanted to build. There was a third one that I desperately wanted to do that really inspired me. But after two startups previously and a whole world of how much time am I wasting, and I'm beating myself up about all this stuff that everyone expects me to know, but I just don't. I effectively built Frilio to sort of fix that so that I and countless others in the same situation can just stride out and be the kind of the mad geniuses and the Sherlocks in the startup world, and Frilio will be the Watson and make sure that we don't drop the ball on anything. So we are 3 years into that journey, and it's a really exciting one. We basically, for those of you who don't know Frilio and haven't come across us, we are an online platform for business and legal solutions. I like to call us a sort of big interactive digital cookbook of recipes for business outcomes. So we cover anything from, finding out the solution to how you get help, and that might be a freelancer who are a wonderful source of help for small businesses, very rich experience, great people who can power us forward. It might be bringing on board your first employee, it might be bringing on board your 50th employee, it could be being more tax efficient, working out what insurance you need, getting better at sales and marketing. So all of these kind of outcomes that we wake up in the morning as small businesses and think, you know what, I kind of want to know how to do this, or I kind of need to fix this. That's what we serve up, basically, a set of ingredients of the various different things that you may need to do, various different people or items that you might need to consider. And you can DIY your way through that according to a kind of trusted methodology that our own founder community have all tried and tested and that the experts have all commented on. And then at the end of the day, a bit like when you follow a recipe to make a curry, you get your outcome and you get it on your terms at a price you can absolutely afford, and hopefully wasting a lot less time, energy, and sleep in terms of getting there. So that's kind of what we do, and it's something that I sort of fell in love with. I fell in love with small businesses quite some time ago. I really admire the passion, the grit, the resilience that the small business community has. It can be tough being an employee, but it's very tough and far more tough, I think, on the other side of the fence. And even our brand name, our mission is that no small business ever struggles or fails because they can't get what they want or need, and that's one we take incredibly seriously. But even our brand name, for me, I don't know about you, Kim, brand names, oh my God. I agonized over our company. Now, I still think it was the most stressful thing of everything we've done on our journey. We've raised millions of pounds. We've gone through fundraisers. We have multi-million pound deals these days with large corporates. We went through hideous due diligence processes to make sure that we were, a serious entity, even though we were very young and we were a startup. But finding the company name was the most stressful thing we've ever done. And it took me weeks and I filled so many notebooks, but it's because I wanted something that was a reminder to me, to everybody, whether they worked for us or with us or they bought from us, of what we stand for and what that all important no small business struggles or fails mission is all about. And when we finally landed on Ferilio, which is a combination of a Gaelic person's name, Farrell, which means brave, which I absolutely loved, because for me it kind of embodied that spirit of entrepreneurialism, that sense that you stand at the cliff edge and you're looking over thinking, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to be strong enough? I don't want to laugh at me when I fall flat on my face. It takes huge guts to take that leap, but you've got to be even more courageous to keep going. So the fact that Farrell means brave, to me, that just embodied everything about being a founder, being in small business, being innovative and creative, not being afraid to jump. And the IO came from our tech team, who, after I was saying for ages, Farrell.com, it's horrible. And they kept laughing at me, and I was like, this isn't funny. I'm very stressed about this. Why is everybody laughing? And one of the guys on the team, who I love to bits, he said, well, would it not be .io? And I went, Indian Ocean? No. I want it to be here in the UK first. I know we want to be international, but... And he went, no, it means input output. It's a platform name. That's what we're going to be, right? Aren't we? And that was an education of itself, spot the lawyer in charge of a tech business. And then I looked at what it does when you put it together. And I went back to standing on that cliff edge thinking, I want to jump and I want to feel powerful and brave and courageous, but I'm so scared of what's going to happen next. And when I was growing up, I don't know about you guys, but we used to jump off trees and jump off everything and yell Geronimo as we did. And it was that sort of rally cry and that sort of adrenaline rush. It was that we're doing something really brave. And when you look at what Farrell.io does when you put it together, it says Ferilio, and it was a rally cry. And it just felt to me like this is what we want to do. We want to lead a charge here. We want to build the safety net. We want to make sure that we're giving people the springboard too and the courage to jump off that cliff. So it was amazing, and that's kind of our history. It's how we've come about. It's what we stand for, and that's what I think I'm probably most proud of. That sense of every single day, everyone in our ecosystem knows that Farrell means brave, and this is why we exist. And I think when you come back to some of those difficult decisions that you have as a business, and you have within teams, and you sometimes have as you grow out and you expand and other opportunities arise, coming back to, well, this is our name and this is our mission, and we will never forget that, sometimes makes some of those decisions so much easier to make.
That's fantastic. I mean, brand purpose is absolutely critical. And I think during challenging times like this, you always go back to your purpose. And if your purpose is clear, your purpose is strong, it's so much easier to be brave and to keep pushing on. So I love that story. I didn't know the meaning behind the name. It was the branding that caught my eye when I found your services, because I've used your services when I needed to refresh contracts, and I turned to you. So that's wonderful. Now, how about your role at Antler as an advisor? How are you still active, during the pandemic in that role as well?
Well, Antler haven't slowed down. I think I've been quiet on them just because we've geared up and been, absolutely mental on Ferrilio's side, but Antler definitely haven't slowed down. I think the amazing thing about an organization that is just packed full of so many business experts, so many mentors, so many people who are passionate about paying it forward and supporting the next generation of startups is, I mean, there's something quite infectious about it. The number of people who will say to me, how did you get involved with Antler and how do I get involved? And these are serious people. I'm thinking they should be chasing you. My goodness, this is incredible. I think it's a word of mouth movement. I love what they stand for. I love what they do. I think it's definitely challenging to bring people together, establish cohorts, get people connecting, sharing ideas, forging teams to build startups in a kind of a virtual world, which is where we've all been living for the last few months and where we'll probably continue to be living for quite a while. And I think the startup community thrives in that sort of physical vibe, dynamic driven environment where people do just hang and chat and scribble on the walls. We love painting on the walls and making a mess as startup founders. I think some of that falls away, but I've watched with incredible admiration actually for what Antler have done. They're very well led. We're a whole community of people constantly sharing ideas. People reach out all the time. So I think the one-to-ones have probably got a little bit more involved than previously. But it's one of those things I dip in and out when requested to do so, and the rest of the time I sort of follow people's journeys and try to support as best I can. And I think you choose the relationship you have with Antler when you get involved. I'd love to be more involved, time permitting, because I love what they're doing, and the results and the enthusiasm is, as I say, really infectious. But it's a lovely movement to be part of, and I'm hugely proud of the results that they're achieving with founders of businesses right around the world at all ages. I mean, I've sat in a room with people with sort of 10, 15 years more experience than I have, being very open about their ideas, the challenges, what they're anxious about, and watched how they magnetize people towards them, and they end up building incredible businesses and sharing great ideas. So it's a lovely thing to watch grow, and a really lovely compliment to Ferrilio as well.
That sounds amazing. And with regards to Ferrilio, how have you been impacted by everything that's happening right now during the pandemic?
Like everybody else, it's there are ups and downs. I think we've been hugely lucky as a tech-based business that virtual comes slightly more easily to us than to many of our customers. I think there's this great assumption that when lockdown happened, everybody could just, go online. Many people don't have the luxury of that. So we were very lucky, and we were acutely conscious of that. Having said that, things that we were relying on happening didn't happen when they should have happened. So deals got delayed. Things that we'd expected to be doing didn't happen, event style things. But lots of other opportunities arose. And I think when you've got a very tight team, there's 15 of us, we're used to being sort of in the trenches together. We are a very, I think, culturally tight team. We talk about psychological safety an awful lot. So the ability to ask questions, to challenge, to bring ideas to the table, to say, no, I disagree and I don't like that. And I think we've kept that going as best we can, so that when opportunities arose, we've snapped them up. We do a lot in video anyway. We are video monsters, and we were beforehand, but we were sort of well known for going up and down the country with a big big orange film kits, constantly getting stuck and having to be asked for help by various people. I don't know how many people at train stations have helped us because we got stuck in train doors and various things. heavy kit, but that's what we did. We went to our experts, we went to our community, we would set up in situ with them. They would tell us their stories, they would share expertise, they'd show us how to do stuff, and we would film all of that. And of course, all of that fell away overnight. So an enormous amount of what we do and what our experts were used to us doing just stopped. So I love my team, because the very first thing they do is go and teach themselves how they can do stuff in a different way. And we've come up with some cracking solutions. Out of that is about to come a show. So we're about to launch something that I'm super excited about. It's going to be sponsored by an incredible organization that we're very close to. I'm co-hosting it with one of our best business buddies. And we are bringing a lot more of the rapid fire of the moment stuff to the screen, which is terrific fun. But we've also managed to work out how to do our let's make an employment contract together and work it through with the expert narrating everything. We can still do that stuff too. So that kind of threw us for a little bit, and we were a bit worried about something that we're deeply passionate about having to be derailed for a number of months, and actually whole opportunities have opened up. But I think, like every business, you know, we've had to have really challenging conversations with the team about what we were going to spend money on and we were going to be doing, and we now won't be, because things have got slowed down and we need to be rock solid financially and really sensible. We took for me, quite sorrowful decision. I think practically it makes absolute sense. The team have been a lot less affected by it than I do, but we took the decision to let go of our office space for a while and stay remote for the rest of the year. I mean, the cost savings that we makes so much sense. We're actually very comfortable remote at the moment. We will of course come back and have an HQ at some point. We were growing out of our old HQ. It was sort of inevitable anyway, but for me, the reason why it felt a very emotional thing to do is this is where I started, and it was just me, and it was a co-work space with a community that I'm intensely proud to have been part of, have absolutely loved every moment of being there. And you know, when it was just me on my own, and then gradually the whole team has sort of bolted on, and brilliant people who we've met along the way have helped us out and come along, and that's where you find us. And you know, that's where all the frogs live. So frogs are a very important symbol to us as a business. Happy to tell you more about Being More Frog if that's of interest. But we had to pack up all the frogs and all the pot plants and leave somewhere where this journey started. And as I said, this is my third startup, but it's the one that I've just fallen in love with more than any of the others, possibly more than the one I thought I was going to build at first. And so that's one of those milestone moments where you think, oh my goodness. And I almost freaked the rest of the team out, because I kept going around saying, is everyone okay with this? Are you all right? Do you want to talk about this? And they were like, no, it's all fine. Look, I'm managing this and this is going fine. And I'm seeing my kids and homeschooling, and no one wants to travel anyway. This is all very fine. And they were all very practical about it. And we tend to make decisions like this as a team anyway. And half of them ended up counselling me because they were all fine. I was thinking, well, if everyone else is fine, why am I having a bit of a hissy fit about it? But it's, you know, it's been tough. I think we tend to talk about the positives all the time, and sort of wear that mask, and people say, how's it going? And you say, yeah, it's great. When inside there are pieces of you going, oh my God. But I think, you know, the one thing that gets you through any period of adversity with your business and with yourself too is having the truthful conversations and being very open and upfront about what's happening, why it's happening, what the plan is, and getting people's views and opinions. I'm very lucky. I have a very vocal team who are happy to share. Even the quieter members of the team, if you call on them and say, I need your view, they'll give it, and it's always really considered. But I think I'm a massive believer that good people magnetize other good people, and I think we've got people within our team that people just gravitate towards, and I gravitate towards them too. And there are days where I think, as a business owner, like the day that you struggle, you wake up and you think, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, and why am I doing this? And it feels a little bit like Groundhog Day. Right now feels a little bit like Groundhog Day, I think, for a lot of us. And then I talk to the team and I think, you know what, on days where I'm struggling to believe as hard as I want to believe or do believe normally, they believe for me. You know, the laughter, the humor, the quirkiness. We have a lot of quirk in our team. All of that kind of plays back at me. And I think, you know what, on the days where I'm not feeling it quite as strong as perhaps I'd like to, they're feeling it for me. And that's good enough.
That's really, really powerful. And you've described so many different changes that you've been through, and just moving out of the office. That's a huge, significant change. And I was going to ask you, but you've already explained it. Is like, how do you turn that into a positive when it could be construed as potentially a negative? And I think how you talk about being real with what's actually going on is so incredibly important, because around us, so many just talk positive, positive, and it almost begins to become unbelievable unless they're that incredibly positive that everything's going their way. It's hard to believe. Um, so how do you feel that you fostered that environment in your team that they're working quite closely with you and helping you move forward with what you've described? How did you get to that place with such a culture around you?
I think do you know what, it's a really good question. And you know, there's no ego in this. I don't really know, Kim, to be quite honest. I think good people magnetize other good people. I think the mission is very strong. We have 4 characteristics for a Frilio person, and you know, we're very open. Everyone is welcome. But there are 4 characteristics that we look for: hunger, and that's hunger and curiosity. Really, it's that, you know, I want to get in there and fix stuff. So hunger, passion. You've got to be passionate about what you do, and we really want you to enjoy it. We want you to go explore, to feel like you're bringing your best self to work, not because you feel you have to, but because you really want to. So hunger, passion, empathy. Empathy for me is the most important characteristic of all. You've got to be passionate about small businesses. You've got to love what we are, you know, what we're setting out to do. And if you don't empathize with small business, if you don't understand it, if you don't know what the struggle is like, if you don't know the psychological and the mental challenges, not just the technical sort of actual ones, you know, it's not enough to know how to draft a contract or how to make someone more tax efficient. You've got to feel it, like it's got to be ingrained in you. You've got to understand what it means to get that outcome and what it means to not get that outcome, so that you can serve a problem up that genuinely makes an impact and it powers people forward. It just doesn't serve them a piece of information that they don't know what to do with. So that whole empathy and understanding why we exist and who we exist to serve, and that customer comes first. So if our customers say to us, and it's funny, I end up cancelling the team sometimes as much as they end up cancelling me. You know, customer says, well, I didn't quite get it, or I was a bit confused. People take it really personally. Oh my God, someone was confused. How do we fix this? So it's this obsession with making sure that we just keep improving, we just keep getting better. The empathy element, as I say, is very powerful. And then excellence. You know, we do expect people to be really good at what they do, because we don't have the time to kind of make people better. I think when you're a corporate, you have time to train, and I would love to get into a stage where we could train more people, because we have phenomenal people in the business who train me every day and I learn so much from. But it's those 4 characteristics that I think are really important. I think just generally the kind of, we're very, very different with personalities, but the psychological safety that's been built is really important. So we lean on each other a lot. I know that there are people who, you know, agree with me less than others, and it's the people who agree with me less than others who I'll often seek out with when I really want help solving something or designing something or just brainstorming, because they'll come at it from a totally different point of view, but they don't feel the need to please. And I think a lot of it comes down to the founder rather than the CEO. I wear the title CEO. I need to be CEO at times, and I'm so proud to be the CEO of this business. But actually, for me, the founder role that I have is the point of truth. I'm in the trenches. I don't want to be backseating here. I want to be understanding our customers. I want to be drafting the documents, speaking to the experts, having the conversations. I don't want to be somebody who sits as your sort of typical corporate CEO and is, everyone kind of comes at them. I want to be going out and making sure that I really understand the business. And I think the role that I play as founder, and I'm sort of sleeves rolled up every day, member of the team, probably puts me on a level where people feel they can converse to me as a person and to me as the person building it with them, as opposed to the person who has the title of CEO. So I think that's something to do with it. But, you know, the frog, the emblem of the frog, everyone who joins the business, we have various little rituals that actually the team have created. I've had very little to do. And the team created the obsession with frogs to completely randomly. But when you join now, you get your own frog. And we talk about being more frog. And that's, for us, that's very, very important. It's, you know, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid if stuff doesn't work the first time you try it. I mean, my favorite statement ever, or my favorite mantra ever is, you know, if you're not failing at all, you're not being creative enough. And we all pride ourselves on being really creative. Being creative is fun, right? We want to be creative, so we have to learn to fail a bit at things as we go along. But the dynamic between the frog and the goldfish is really important for us as a business. So a goldfish only ever grows to the size of its environment, and it's in a bowl or a tank. So its growth is limited. And the goldfish can swim around and around and around really fast and feel like it's really going places, but actually it's never really going anywhere. It's still staying in its tank, going round and round and round. The frog can start in the same environment. The frog can start in the tank too, but the frog evolves. It goes exploring, it climbs out of the tank and it goes away, and it goes explores the world, and it stands on the lip of the tank, and we like to say it shouts Ferrilio, and off it goes and explores the world, and it meets new people along its way, and it tries new things, and it, you know, comes away from going round and round in circles. And so we always say to the team, you know, this is your moment. You have a frog, you are frog. Being more frog is what we talk about all the time, but this is your opportunity to really go for your potential, find out what you want to do, you know, talk to the rest of the team, learn from them, go explore. Freedom for things not to work all of the time. But if we don't experiment and we aren't prepared to fail, then we kind of won't know where the boundaries really are, and we're, you know, unapologetically rebellious at pushing boundaries in our business. And I think that whole dynamic, that whole environment creates something that's really quite special, but that has something to do with all of us rather than any one of us driving
it. Brilliant. And it's, you know, the whole concept of the frog, that's
really fantastic.
I like the frog. So my question is, how the frogs had to change recently. So for example, what sort of strategies or routines that you've put in place personally to help you stay grounded through all of this and perhaps feel a little bit more in control of what you can't control at the moment? How have your behaviors changed?
I think that's a really good question. How have our behaviors changed? I think we communicate very slightly differently. To me, actually, sometimes it feels more forced. I'm used to being in the office. We used to banter. We used to distracting each other. It felt more natural. Even though some of our team are permanently remote, even the interaction with them just felt slightly less forced. I found, particularly in the early stages, I was having to schedule stuff. So we would normally hang out together on a Friday afternoon. We have tequila frog fest moments that sort of, you know, that's how we end. I love tequila. It's a happy kind of shot. It feels slightly naughty, particularly if you're doing it in the office. I love the whole idea that you do everything that your parents tell you not to. You put salt in your hand, you lick, you chuck back shots. You know, it's very uncivilized, but it's a great leveler. I absolutely love it. And even just seeing people's faces after they've taken a shot is evil, but it's very amusing, and we all love it and we embrace it. And lots of other people who work around us would, you know, everyone knows it's Tequila Friday, so you'd get all your friends kind of piling in, talking about the week. So that sort of stuff, I felt like we've almost forced through. So we have a movie night, we vote on movies, we talk about what kind of movies we love, why we should recommend it, everyone votes on stuff, and then we watch a movie virtually all together, and we've got the WhatsApp channels and the Slack channels where everyone's commenting on stuff, and we've watched some really funny stuff that I don't think I would ever have watched, and the wit and the humor within the team has just been wonderful. You realize in moments like this just how much wit and humor actually doesn't come to the office, but it actually comes out in these other environments. So that's very cool. I check in with the team every day. Again, it's kind of forced behavior because I would naturally do it without thinking about it. But on one of our Slack channels, we have a sort of a little COVID-19 channel, and you know, every day I try and sort of post something or send a message. And at the beginning, people would sort of give you the thumbs up, and we would do almost like calling a register. I mean, it was ridiculous. Now people send me emoji love. So every single day, the team will send emojis about how they're feeling and, you know, what's going on. And it could keep you guessing for a long time, I have to say. But the humor and the camaraderie that comes out of some of that stuff is great. We're probably a little bit more productive and efficient than we've ever been. So we're much more mindful of each other's time. We're having to work around homeschooling and various other things too. So I think that's changed the way that we work. I think I'm more relaxed sometimes too. I love the fact that you can see what's going on in everyone's backgrounds. And, you know, Adam is painting his room because they're about to have a baby, which is super exciting. And so we've seen the scans on screen because we've been sharing screens with him, and various things. You know, you sort of get these wonderful experiences where a team member is kind of dialing into a team update call or something where we're brainstorming, and you can hear their dog yapping in the background, and they're on the walk because it coincides with the fact that they have to walk the dog. So I think we've all got more relaxed, more involved, more personal in a way that's been quite nice. But also within all of that, sometimes it can be very hard. It can be, very easy for people to hide in the virtual world. And so spotting when someone is jaded, you have to pay more attention to this. I ask much more direct questions now of the team, and try really hard to encourage them to be honest about, you know, are you feeling tired? You're just not feeling it today. Sharing my thoughts, my feelings, listening harder, because you kind of need to in the virtual environment. You can't see the body language necessarily. You can't see how somebody is sort of working, or how many times they're coming away from the desk or staring out of the window because they're just not feeling it. So you have much shorter windows and much narrower environments in which to check out that folks are okay. I've been massively impressed by our team, actually, because I think productivity, despite all of the challenges, has not slacked off. In fact, in a way, people have become more determined about certain things, and you know, just be more inventive about the way that we do stuff. I've loved some of the creativity that's come out of it, because people have been fiddling more. And so some of our customers, I think, have got far more creative propositions or bits of information, because we've learned to present stuff in a different way. If you can't go for a beer and a chat, as you know, some of the folks on our sales team would normally do, it's very social. They're thinking about, how can I get more creative and more exciting and give people takeaways and stuff that they want to share with other people. So that's been really interesting. But yeah, there's been a lot of evolution, a lot more honesty, I think, within the wider team. I think definitely before lockdown, there was a real sense of, that's what management do, that's management's bag, and I just kind of do my job, and I'm doing these things, and I ask the questions, and I'm involved, and I come to the town halls, and I go to Tequila Friday, and I have the Monday stand up, and I go to movie night. But you know, that's fine. Whereas I've noticed that as we're posting, we do this thing every week, which I really like, and every member of the management team does it. We call it the 5-15. So it should take you 15 minutes as a member of the management team to write out kind of the highlights, the big stuff, the stuff that's happened, the stuff that's about to happen. And it should take 5 minutes for any other member of the team to read. So every member of the management team records their 5-15, posts it on a Friday, sometimes on a Saturday. But it means that the whole of the wider team can always get a sense and a really good, accurate snapshot of what's going on, and where they can get involved or where they have questions. Before lockdown, I would say maybe 50% of the wider team read it, and the rest of it would be like, okay, that's fine. Everyone now reads it. Everyone has questions. I think people are much more involved, and actually they've got themselves just more visual. We've posted screenshots of, you know, new wireframes, screenshots of dashboards, copies of proposals that are going out that people are really excited about, and actually the feedback from that has been really cool. People are much more engaged, I think, in the business, almost like feeling they need to be because they're not physically present. But I don't know, this is a very long-winded answer to your question, so I hope I'm answering the question. I think
you have
to watch, actually.
And you've described so many things that I always pull out as silver linings, because every interview, that's one of the questions I always ask is, have there been any silver linings? You've just described at least 6 in there.
There have. I mean, I think as I say, I'm always cautious about making it sound like it's all been wonderful. It hasn't. It's been really, really tough. I think one of the things that's bonded our team together most is that there are people in worse situations than us, and we have had it tough. You know, we have had to put one very beloved member of the team on furlough, and at one point, you know, we went through the whole kind of discussion about do we have to make people redundant? That is an absolutely gut-wrenching discussion that, you know, we fortunately came out of the other end and said, no, we don't. And part of the reason we don't is we're so busy that we can't afford to let anyone, you know, even furlough is extremely difficult and challenging. But we had to take every member of a team that I absolutely love, that feel like family, through a process of saying to them, this is why, this is what we have to do. This is why we're being really sensible. But those discussions are just awful. And yet we knew all around us, because we've been supporting them, you know, our peer group are having to go the final steps of actually letting people go, not just furlough, but beyond furlough. And I think there is nothing like that reminder that, you know, we're in tears with our clients when they're talking to us, they're in tears talking to us. Nobody deserves this. That reminder of actually, you know, holding on to what you've got, it becomes much more meaningful, much more important, and you feel much more lucky to be in a position where you don't have to go through absolutely everything. But I think for many of our team members, if not all of our team members, we've personally felt like we are going through it with each and every client. I mean, I go to bed every night deeply upset by some of the things that people have had to do, or things that they were telling, and knowing that no matter what we do, we can't do enough. You know, we can do an awful lot, but in another life, I need to raise money and have a fund. And I have to have a fund that is not contingent on you meeting, you know, metrics that most small businesses and definitely startups can't meet, because just money is what everybody wanted in the early stages. Many of our customers still need that money to survive. And, you know, we can help you grow, we can help you start, we can help you thrive, we can help you be more tax efficient, and to, you know, go out there and grab every opportunity, and we'll continue to do that. But the one thing I can't be is bank. And I think, you know, I've lost count of the number of times we've been in tears as team members together, and individually, and you know, it's nothing for us to come back together in a morning to discuss a project or something else that we need to do, and people to say, I can't get that out of my mind, I've been really upset about it. So I think the circumstances have brought it very much home to us, but it's not been silver linings for us either. But I think you do feel that immense sense of gratitude and that determination not to be split up, which is very, very powerful. So we may be one team member temporarily down, but the effort of the rest of the team to make them know that it is not because they're not valuable, or, you know, we don't love them or don't need them. It is the circumstances that I've been very grateful actually for that.
So we're I'm conscious of time right now because we've gone over what we normally do, but it's because I've really enjoyed listening to you and chatting with you, Merlie. So I'm going to ask you one last question, which is the one that you don't have to answer, but I think you will. Is have you ever thought of giving up? And if you have, what's kept you going?
Many, many, many times, because it's really tough. What kept me going? The mission. I can't imagine not completing this mission. I can't imagine not being part of this brand. I can't imagine not waking up tomorrow not being Ferrilio in some shape or form. But the team, the customers, our investors, so many people believe. I have what I call chasing the ball days. The only way I can describe it is that when you start a business, it's like hugging a little ball, and it's your ball, and you hug it really tight, and you have this kind of, do I tell other people about it? Will they laugh at me? Or I want to tell everybody because I'm so excited about it. And you're schizophrenic about this little ball, but you hug it really tight. And then as the business develops, as more people join you, it feels like more and more people are putting their hands on that ball, and the ball gets bigger. And you're still trying to hug it really tight, but it's kind of not your ball anymore. And at some point, usually relatively early on in the process, somebody knocks that ball out of your hands, and you spend the rest of your life as a founder of the business, chasing your own ball down the road, trying to keep it on track, trying to make sure that everyone's happy, trying to make sure that everything goes right. And there are days where that chasing the ball is just exhausting. And I say this now to founders all the time, to some of the people that I mentor through that early stage as well, is sometimes just give yourself permission not to chase the ball. Everyone else is chasing it. They're delighted, they're happy. It's on track. You've built a team around you that you absolutely trust, and they're competent to do that. Sit back, give yourself the breathing space, because if you start flagging, if you stop believing, everything falls apart. And sometimes just stepping back and celebrating is a good thing. I forget to celebrate all the time. Everyone else is celebrating. I'm worrying about the next stuff. Celebrating, sitting back and just allowing you to say, yeah, you know, I'm part of something really big, and this is amazing. I'm feeling like it's bigger than you. Holly Tucker, who I absolutely love, founder of the Not on the High Street and now Holly & Co. She said, and I think this is the wisest piece of advice I have ever heard: if you're going to build a business, build something with a purpose that is far bigger than you. Never doubt yourself. And I absolutely love that. You know, Frilio's purpose is far bigger than me. It needs me to keep it going, but I can't imagine not being part of that movement anymore.
That's wonderful. Really good words, which I think will keep quite a few people going for quite some time. And I thank you so much for being here today and for chatting with me. There's so much I'm going to take away from this. Emoji love. I'm going to start that. Tequila Friday, absolutely. I'm starting that. My favorite shot. It's such an energizing shot, and starting that, and the whole concept of chasing the ball. That's also powerful. So thank you so much, Merlie, for being here with us today. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for pushing on and helping me push on when I needed those words the most. So on that note, I shall say thank you and goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week. Another interview Thursday at 12 p.m. Bye for now.